Let's do this thing. Hey, everybody, welcome in. It is time, finally, to do the last bastion of rhetoric on West Virginia and Penn State. This is Three Guys Before the Game, the Penn State game preview.
This is our fourth episode that has Penn State preview in it.
We've had
started in May. First one was in May.
In fact,
Penn State preview.
Next week we'll probably do two shows, like a post-game shows, rather than next opponent.
Well, the Penn State recap is coming up on Sunday. I will say that.
Well, I haven't had those Nittany Lions in Morgantown for a while. We might as well run with it.
Squeezing the sponge out of them, getting
I'll tell you
everything
what.
else. Here we go. Let's do this thing. Thanks for being with us. Three Guys Before the Game is brought to us by Comax Business Systems, keeping West Virginia's business data safe, secure, and efficient for 25 years. By GoMart. Get a GoMart rewards card and save on fuel and food. Go to gomart.com or download the GoMart app and you will be in business. By Lou Wendell Marine Sales in St. Albans, they sell family fun. Visit LouWendellMarineSales.com. By Tudor's Biscuit World. Start your day the homemade way. Tudor's Biscuit World. And by Conley CPA Group, providing value beyond numbers. All right, we are all together here, ladies and gentlemen. Kind of like the preacher says, before the marriage ceremonies. We have all come together here today. Some of us have had more sleep than others. Brad just got home 6 minutes ago from the Independence Herbert Hoover High School football game that was...
Game just ended.
Whoa. It was delayed by unbelievable weather, which caused a lot of power outages in Kanawha County. But you guys kicked off after 9 o'clock, 9:30-ish?
Yeah, it was about 9:30, 9:40 before we finally got underway. Just a lot of lightning in those storms, as you said, that went through. But ended up being a great game to start the high school football season. Hoppy's right. I think the last pass came down to a fourth down play, last play of the game. I think it just got batted down about 4 minutes ago. We're ready to go. Great start to the season.
You didn't go to any GoMarts, did you, on your way?
I think I hit every GoMart. I mean, there's a billion of them across the state. I think I was in every one. I hit the Gasaway GoMart. Hit the Elkview GoMart.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then swung through World Headquarters at the Flatwoods GoMart about 1:40 a.m. last night or this morning.
Awesome.
So got a good GoMart run.
The overnight person was there and checked a box. Okay, Brad's done.
Brad's in. Brad's in. So the excitement, as we had anticipated for this game, has done exactly what we thought it would do. It's ramped up. I thought traffic started to get bad yesterday, which is a rarity on a Thursday. And I came through campus this morning. We're recording early Friday morning, and I saw the setup for the staging for Pat McAfee's show. And so it is on. I would say this, a couple of different things here. If you're coming in and you're going to do this thing, UBER. UBER, I think the big four-letter word. I mean, traffic's a sue. Getting to our food court on University Avenue, that probably is the best way to do it, or just simply walk. Like, park far away. Maybe go to the old mall. I don't know, maybe go to the old mall. Park at the old mall.
Another old mall reference.
Go to the old mall.
The,
but I'm just thinking, like, your
feet. So you think Uber or just walk if you can?
Your feet.
I agree.
Take the Three Guys shuttle.
Your feet are going to be your best friend. It's tough. Anyway, that's my thing. We'll talk more about the food court and all of that stuff coming up. On this episode, we want to get into, we've brought you some analytics over the last couple of episodes, keys and things like that. But today, we do want to focus on the specific keys to the game. You never know how these things play out, but there are certain things that you can look at as milestones during a game to say, like, this is happening, this isn't happening, and that either means good or bad, depending on what side. Health-wise, the Mountaineers are in, as Neil Brown said last night, we're in good shape. And you might think, well, it's first game of the season. Like, why wouldn't you be in good shape? Well, because you just practiced for a month. And overall, this has been a really good preseason in that regard. They're not going to hit today. Today is Fast Friday, is what they call it. They get their heart rates up today, but there is no banging, no smashing going on until the game goes tomorrow afternoon at 12:05. So they've come out of that, and they seem to be in a good place to go play the game, and now we'll see what happens. Senator, now when did you prepare these keys to the game?
July. No. Over the last couple of weeks, you know how this comes together. You kind of knew what the keys I think are going to be for this West Virginia team. But then as we've talked about this game over the last couple of weeks, I think it's crystallized into a couple of different buckets. So we'll niche it down. I won't go as deep into the weeds on some numbers. I'll give you a few coming up here in just a minute. But we'll kind of package that together with what I think are just a couple of keys. Not going to go crazy with those, but a couple key points.
Hoppy, you were down at the Greenbrier for the business summit. Literally over 1,000 people are there. I think it's 1,200 in that big ballroom. Did you feel an unusual amount of buzz or interest in a game compared to any other regular season opener?
Oh, yeah.
You feeling it?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, clearly there is, and it just and because of the opponent, because of how you finished last year, the anticipation is higher. And then at the food court last night, I mean, people are – you know what happens is the optimism.
See how he slid in that he was at the food court
immediately. Listen, though, I don't blame him as much as grief as he gets for leaving our previous events early.
Yeah,
which he did in fact just slip out. Yeah, when he shows up, he's got to get it a little bit. Mm-hmm. I get it. I understand.
The optimism builds, right?
Sure.
The optimism builds, and I think that's the situation you have. Can West Virginia? Can the team reach that level of optimism? Because sometimes the optimism gets a little ahead of the practical. And you hear people, I think they should. If the West Virginia, I mean, the general comment is, if West Virginia shows up, they can win this game. Now, that's just a generalization, but it reflects the optimism that exists going into the game. I don't hear people talking about, you got no chance.
Right.
I don't hear that. I hear people saying, you know what? I think they could win this game. So there is this optimism that exists. The question is, Brad, can West Virginia's performance match that optimism?
Yeah, it's wild too, guys. I was sitting there last night during that delay of the high school game, checking scores across the college football landscape, and there were some Big 12 teams in action, but it struck me again, just the imbalance of schedules across the country. West Virginia opening against a team that if this team in Penn State doesn't get to the playoff, you outlined this, I think, in our last show, will be a massive disappointment.
Yes.
And there will be some heat on James Franklin, although the contract prevents anything from really happening. But if this is a team that thinks it has to be in the playoff this year, and rightfully so.
Yeah.
And yet that's who West Virginia opens the season with. And yet you look around the league, Utah, who's already won the Big 12 title, apparently.
Right. Yeah.
Congratulations to them in their first year winning
They've been
a Big 12 title. Playing Southern Utah, Cam Rising throws for 5 touchdowns in the first half. Colorado, now they struggled, and it's a very good FCS program in North Dakota State, but it's all due respect, it's North Dakota State, FCS. Shedeur Sanders throws for 450 yards. Travis Hunter went banana, but they struggle with FCS opponents.
Right.
But they're not playing a Power 5. Right. Kansas played Lindenwood. Devin Neal goes for 100 yards. So it was interesting driving back late last night, and you listen to the national narrative that's out there, and it's, Utah looked great. Kansas is off and running. Again, all due respect, but are they?
You really don't respect
You don't know.
Well, I don't know that I respect the first win.
Let me
versus what West Virginia is going to have to go out and do. Now, West Virginia wins that, and we've talked about that. They will enter the top 20 immediately, maybe the top 15. It'll be off and running. But it just shows, I think, one of the great challenges across college football is that the schedule strengths are so vastly different in the non-conference.
Brad, you mentioned the narratives, and one thing you can pick up on is that what has been one of the dominant narratives leading up to the season, who will be the 12 teams, right? I mean, you hear that, who are the 12 teams? Who are the 12 teams? Who are the 12 teams? And Penn State is in that, and everybody's mentioned.
Almost every one of them
is in there. So if Penn State, and look at what happened to Florida State, if Penn State loses, West Virginia will get some national love, but the national narrative will be, what does Penn State have to do now to be in the playoffs? There's no room for error. That story will dominate West Virginia's win. The national narrative will not be, West Virginia won, watch out for them. There'll be some of that, but most of it will be, wow, what a loss. What does Penn State need to do to stay in that top 12? Because there's such a focus on those 12 teams.
And that's college football as a whole. I don't think there's any sport that is more critical and to a degree ruthless in its post-game comments than college football. Like everything is the overreaction. I can already tell you what the text line is going to say if West Virginia were to lose on Sunday on those texts. It's going to be, I sat in the stands with a guy, he called every play. He knew every play there. Okay. Cornerbacks are playing too deep. Okay. Like, it's just like printed out annually. It's the same thing. And, okay, whatever. You get your part. But my point to all that is, like, it's a game. Don't lose your mind one way or the other. If you win, set you up real nice. If you lose, get ready for the next one. Just play on. I was saying in the last episode, this infatuation, this compulsion to talk about this college football playoff before you fricking even put the ball into the air just drives me crazy.
But it is this with the
Why
expanded.
is it the story? Let the frickin' teams play the month of September and then see who's who, then start talking about it instead of making these
Well,
crazy,
I tell you why.
these crazy things.
I understand, and I agree with you. And Brad and I talk about this all the time. Like, there's going to be great games Saturday that get no national attention, but they're great games because that's the broader appeal. That's the clicks. Who's in, who's out, and now with the expanded playoff, it just is a dominant storyline, and you can't change that. You cannot change that.
Oh, I know I can't change it.
I know, and I understand.
But I turn the volume down. Like all the pregame stuff and all that's like I don't listen, don't care.
Well, we do 4 hours of pregame.
No, I'm talking about like on TV,
national.
like it's just ad nauseum. It's just that same old. Like, let the thing happen. Here's what's going to happen. You know what's going to happen in college football this year? There are going to be some teams that are picked to do extremely well. And you know what? They're going to have really bad seasons. And there are some teams like West Virginia a year ago that was picked dead last in its league, and they're going to finish in the upper portion of their league. It's going to happen. So to me, is like, let's see who they are. Let's see how it happens before you lose your mind. Okay. You're right, though. Florida State loses to Georgia Tech. And, like, the whole narrative this week is how's Florida State going to get back? Florida State needs to get to the ACC.
That's the narrative.
Florida State needs to get to the ACC championship game. They can still get in. It's not even September. It's tiring.
I think you are right. I think that would be the national narrative, but West Virginia will get some pop, will get some votes,
yes.
and quite frankly, at that point, I won't give two bleeps about Penn State.
Right.
I think for this fan base, you win that game, and
you're
you're
off.
really cooking with gas. Now.
Absolutely.
You're rolling.
And then it will take care of itself. But I was just talking about the national perspective.
No, I get it, man, and that's what they have to do. And it's just the self-generation of the interest in the college football.
Coach, like Ben Kirchhoff, CBSSports.com. They
You related?
Huh?
Are you related to him?
You know, distant cousin. You know what they have to do every day? Every day. What did Deion Sanders say? You watched Colorado last night. Shedeur Sanders he's pretty good. But you know what? They struggled. Couldn't stop anybody. But what did Deion Sanders say today? And why do they do that? Why do they do that story, Brad?
Because it gets listens, it gets clicks, it gets views, whatever it is. And that was, again, last night driving back, listening to that, they played 3, 4, 5 clips from that press conference from Deion.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, did we solve anything there?
No. Yeah, I think we got a lot.
No, here's all that we did. I'm going to make this statement. I'm probably going to say it every week, but I'm preaching to the choir with this fan base and the group that listens to us. But this, to me, what's going to happen here on Saturday, that's really college football. Mm-hmm. The national narrative can be all about the SEC and the Big Ten. I get it. There are great events happening on college campuses all over the country that you're not going to spend some time talking about on a national platform. Now, tomorrow just happens to be a national platform is going to come in, and it's going to be a ton of love for West Virginia before the game. Now you just hope if you're the team, you go out and you match that because you're going to have some momentum starting today as this thing really ramps. Sure. You're going to have an infomercial for West Virginia on Pat's show throughout the day with all the West Virginia guests that are coming in. Now it's about time to hand the baton to the team and say, okay, you've got all of it behind you. Now go get it done.
And what is from an entertainment standpoint for Fox, what is the buildup? The buildup cannot be Penn State's a 9-point favorite. You know, their favorite. The buildup is, you've come to Morgantown, and this place is crazy, and you better watch out when you come here. That will be the storyline for Fox, and that's good for West Virginia.
Sure, absolutely. It's tremendous.
Because it's A, it's true, and B, it audience builds. Like, we better watch this thing, see what happens.
Got to have a story.
Yeah, you got to have
Every
a story. You have to have a story.
Every game you must have an attraction.
Have the attraction.
You must have an attraction.
Your favorite opening question.
Yeah.
What's the
What's the
attraction?
attraction?
What's the attraction? Yeah.
Here's the attraction. This right
So
here.
check the numbers. We'll just go right to the numbers. Here comes a heater.
Let's jump into the analytics portion of the show. First edition ever of a sleep-deprived Spreads on Stats. We don't know how he's doing it.
He doesn't need it.
It's unbelievable.
Game day grind.
He's got game day grind coffee.
We're good.
Cooking.
We're good.
Spreads on Stats brought to us by the Conley CPA Group. They do provide value beyond numbers. What are they? Well, they're a complete service public accounting and consulting firm. Clients all over the state and outside of the state. Outsourcing your accounting, is that ever a thought? Like, do we need to do this, or can someone just do this stuff for
Who knows
us?
what they're doing?
They'll take care of your accounting for you, outsource your accounting, and also go to the level of your chief financial officer, CFO services. They can also outsource those. Your entire operation or supplement your in-house process. Visit Conley CPA Group.
Did they come up with the episode number?
And we're efforting on that. 570 something. I don't know. Talk about that later in the program
That's
during
a tough
textual
task.
healing.
It is.
Tough task.
All right, Keys.
Let's just do a couple. Because
All
I
right.
could do 15. I'm going to try and niche this down into just a couple of these with some numbers. I think first and foremost, the biggest one, and this is a season-long key, but it's especially important coming up on Saturday, it's can West Virginia's offensive line move Penn State up front? And can West Virginia run it when and where it wants to run? And I think specifically that starts, as we talked last game, inside. Can you run between the tackles? So successful at that last year, which then opens up that outside game. Now the motions and the shifts become really difficult to handle if you're able to run inside. Secondarily, for this game, because of those great edge pass rushers, if you can have success inside, which then allows you to get on the outside, maybe that slows those guys down for a beat or two so that when you drop back to throw, you have a little extra time. So I think this revamped and experienced offensive line for West Virginia, what did I say last show? They returned 3,000 plus snaps for the starters up
Sounds
front.
about right.
Something like 3,300 snaps come back. So very veteran guys. They've been in this program. They've been in the weight room for 4 and 5 years. Now it's time for Jaquay Hubbard and Nick Malone to step into that starting role. And then can the young guys come up behind them and assist? So this remade offensive line, can it run it when it wants to run it and where it wants to run it? Last year in this game, West Virginia averages 3.7 yards per carry. Now, what's different? What we just said. I think Garrett Green's a much different quarterback. I think the playbook is much more wide open than it was in game one last year. You did not have Jaheim White, which turned into your most dynamic rusher by the end of the season. So that to me, and we can debate these or discuss these as we go. I think that's first and foremost. This team's identity was built last year around running the football. They want to do that again. That opens up everything else if West Virginia can run it where and when it wants.
Agreed, and that's so important because Jaheim White needs to get a step or two past the line, right, to do what he does best, correct?
Yeah, I mean,
to bust through the line and then he can start.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying. Yeah.
And maybe Donaldson can bust it up in there and get you some tough yards.
Here's what's interesting. Just 3.7 yards per carry for West Virginia last year. But this was last year's game against West Virginia was the worst run defense grade for Penn State for the entire season.
Excuse me?
Worst run defense grade per Pro Football Focus for Penn State was West Virginia. Their run defense grade, not just raw numbers, but worst grade. It was the worst tackling grade for the Penn State defense for the entire season. Came against West Virginia. This was interesting. Third worst coverage grade for Penn State for the entire season.
Mountaineer
Only the
coaches.
Michigan and Ohio State game were worse for Penn State. So, it's one of those, after you got mid-third quarter, you could tell Penn State kind of had control of that game. As Neil mentioned, they made more winning plays. West Virginia couldn't convert on some key third and fourth downs. But you look at those and you stay off the raw numbers for a second and you say, okay. Now, again, standard disclaimer I should have done at the beginning. All these numbers that I'm giving right now really don't mean anything because it's different players, or if it's the same players, they're back for a year. So take those with a grain of salt. But West Virginia did show some things last year against Penn State they have to be on the lookout for.
To your point, West Virginia coaches say there were passes there last year on that field. There were receivers that were there they were unable to make the throw at that point, couldn't get it to there. Now, what's a year difference make? Let me throw a story at you. John Raby, from the Associated Press, has been around for many, many years. He wrote a really, really super good story that got released earlier this week from the Associated Press. So if you want to look this up, the headline is, a Penn State alum took Jaheim White into her home. The West Virginia running back calls her godmother. And it's this fascinating story about when he moved from Florida to York, Pennsylvania. He has this acquaintance with this teacher who was a 6th grade teacher named Amanda, and her last name is P-O-F-F, Poff.
Okay.
And she had to go back to teach because she was a cancer survivor and needed it for medical reasons to get her health insurance. Anyway, long story, and I'm not going to do it justice, but I do encourage you to read it, where she befriends him. He's really super quiet, and she notices that, like, he gets on the internet and he's always looking up running backs. And so it starts this conversation about football, and she says she's a huge Penn State fan, and he didn't know who Saquon Barkley was. And so she starts showing him, and he's like blowing him off, saying he's no good. He's no good. Then he moves back to Florida, and then he reappears I don't know how much longer later. And he's got a lot of stuff going on family-wise. So he starts, they get him into basketball with their daughter playing AAU type stuff. He starts living with them. And so he says, this is my godmother. Without her, I wouldn't, they helped me tremendously. She and her husband took him in, added a piece onto their house for him to stay. Hell of a story.
That is.
It's a great story. And so I bring all that up. Not only is it a neat thing, but he didn't play in last year's game against Penn State. And this will be his last chance to play because this series isn't happening anymore in the foreseeable future. So, to him, not that he needs any extra motivation, but, what does that do to him? C.J. Donaldson, you were really not yourself all last year, and he admits, I didn't have a good year, even though he put up, a lot of yards, but he never felt right.
Yeah.
Garrett Green, he looks at that tape from a year ago at Penn State and says, I'm not that guy.
Not close to that guy.
I'm not close to that guy. And all of that. So to me, it's this great intrigue. I think that you're in there, you're positioned yourself to slug it out with them. I think the crowd will have a massive factor. You can be experienced, you can play a lot of football together, but when that crowd gets up, there are just certain times when you're going to need to communicate, as Penn State on that field. There are certain times you're going to need to communicate where you will have a very difficult time to communicate, whether they're using silent count or not. A lot defensively, if you're making a call, if you're yelling out something, there's an electricity there. I don't care what you say, that makes a difference. Can it make enough of a difference to impact negatively them, and can it rise West Virginia's level of emotion to a level where they play better than perhaps they really are?
Well, you said the word can. Earlier you said will, then you said can. And the question is can, because those things are symbiotic. The crowd can help the team can help the crowd.
Sure.
Okay.
Oh, absolutely.
So it's got to be like that. The crowd will start, the crowd will be jacked up, but the team has to do its part, right? And then vice versa.
Yeah, and that's why I said earlier, the taking of the baton, the crowd stuff starts today, quite frankly,
Right.
is when that's going to get cranked. So entering that stadium and the start of that stadium, it will be bonkers. Then it's turned over to the team has to give this crowd enough to get going. And so Green rips off a big run. Jaheim White gives you a highlight reel run. Clement or Ray behind the D. That's the thing with this West Virginia team. It's not like 4 years ago where you were going, well, who's going to make the exciting play?
No, you got guys to make plays.
This is an offense that has playmakers and has big playmakers on it and has the ability for explosive plays. So you're going to have to do that. You do that and get the crowd going. Now you're in a fist fight if you're Penn State.
It was anyone's game last year at halftime.
Mm-hmm.
It needs to be anyone's game at halftime again.
Right.
Tomorrow.
Right.
It does. You cannot afford getting down 2 or 3 scores in the first half because that will take the absolute life out of that crowd. Because they, like us, like the team, they all have expectations. And if the expectations don't happen the way that they want them to go, then they pull back.
Mm-hmm.
And Neil Brown talked about that. He said, look, I need you guys to be there. Even when things get bad, that's when I need you to be there. Like re-energize, re-fire up. Like, don't sit on your hands if something isn't going our way. Do your part to get us charged back up so that we can make a run. So I think that's key. Now, conversely, if things do go well for you and you look around like middle of the second quarter and you're having success running the ball and you got a couple of points on the board and you're going like, hey, guess what? Not only did we want to win this game, like this thing is very doable. Now let's go. Then you've got that magic sauce that you need to happen.
Flip over to key number 2. Let's go to the defensive side for West Virginia. And this is kind of, Hoppy, a two-pronged key to the game. You know they've got those two talented running backs that I think overall West Virginia did a pretty good job against last year. But that opened up that passing game. Drew Aller throws for 300-plus yards, the 3 touchdowns. So one of the things I'm watching here from the West Virginia perspective, and I'll give you a very specific key, I think Sean Martin is massive tomorrow, literally and figuratively, right? We've talked about him before. That's your NFL guy up front. That's who the scouts have been coming to watch all fall camp. He's healthy as well. Talk about a guy that's finally healthy and ready to go in game 1. If he can look like an NFL player on Saturday, and that Penn State offense has to adjust and slide a second guy over to help on him, now you're really opening it up. Now we'll get to see what Ty French can bring, or a TJ Jackson, or a Trey Lathan, or a Josiah Trotter, one of those secondary guys that can get some pressure, because isn't that a massive key on Drew Aller? Make him get off his spot and move. West Virginia didn't do that enough last year. So to me, it's not only about getting to the quarterback and applying pressure when they pass, but it's also Sean Martin specifically, I think, because he's got the most upside on that team. He's got the physical capabilities. He's your NFL guy. He's got to go. It ties in, and we've talked about this before, so I won't go too deep. New offensive coordinator Andy Kotelnicki. What's that offense look like? Do they try? Do they react to the criticism from all of last year about not being creative and not being explosive enough and try and do some things to show, hey, we are? Does that gift them out of their comfort zone? How up to speed is this Penn State offense on new terminology and a new offense? The explosive play part of it. If you look at Drew Aller last year in this Penn State offense, his average depth of target, the average throw, right? What's the average depth of where the target is? Because you were going to ask Because you were going to ask what the definition was.
Why'd you Bobby Bowed me on that? You said the average depth of throw. It's the average depth of the distance of the throw. Now, that is how far he throws it on average. Now, that's not his longest one. That's the average throw.
For the first time in our 500 and however many episodes, he got a definition.
Yeah.
And now he gets loud, right? See, he pulls that. He actually got one right. And he knew.
Usually doesn't know.
So I'm not saying it's the shortest or the longest. I'm saying it's the average of the throws.
The average depth of target for Drew Aller last year was 8 yards.
Wow.
Okay?
Now, is that the average?
8 yards. Now, that would be the average depth of where the target is, where the receiver is the target. That would be the target's the receiver.
I mean, the Penn State fans grumbled on the checkdowns. Grumbled.
Now, here's what you want to watch.
They grumbled.
In Kotelnicki's offense last year at Kansas, they were third in Power 5 in average depth of target at 12.3 yards. So, what changes? Now, Aller certainly has the capability to throw the ball down the field, right? So, how much changes? What changes? What does that Penn State offense look like, and how comfortable are they in it? So, again, much like it's the crowd's job to help the team along, team's job, it's West Virginia's defense job to keep them uncomfortable and not quite sure what they're doing.
Brad, what about this? As much grief, and the grief was oriented around the Ohio State and Michigan losses where they didn't make big plays. But if you have a great defense, which their defense was elite last year, gave up 13 points a game, it's like, okay, and LR had 2 interceptions, like, okay, don't make mistakes.
No doubt.
Don't make mistakes.
No doubt.
So that seemed like it was.
And that's why I think that I can't wait to see what happens here. Do you just try and beat West Virginia as straight up as you can and take a quarterback that's obviously very good at avoiding mistakes and try and play it as vanilla as you can and just get the win? Or do you react to the criticism that you've been getting and say, no, we're going to look to do some things. We're going to do some different things. Do you try an RPO with Drew Aller that he's not comfortable doing, and the ball pops up in the air because you run into the running back and your timing's off a little bit? Things like that. So I'm really anxious to watch this Penn State offense.
Possessions, over under 8.5.
Yeah, that's a good one. That Florida State Georgia Tech game was 7 each.
Correct.
If you look at what's happened so far, very small sample size, you wonder if the in-helmet communication is actually slowing the pace of games, because coaches want every second they can have to talk into the ear of the quarterback. So some of this tempo that you see may not be as fast as it's been in past. Now, generally, Andy Kotelnicki's offense isn't one of the fastest in the country. West Virginia will step on the gas and pull back off of it. But that's probably a pretty good number. I might go under to start. Because so think if you're Andy Kotelnicki, you're going to want to talk to Drew Aller as long as you possibly can in a new offense. What does Neal do with Garrett? Does he turn him loose and let him go a little bit more because West Virginia's tempo may be an advantage if you can get it rolling?
I don't think Penn State wants to have a lot of possessions in this game.
I wouldn't think.
They don't. They don't want West Virginia out
think.
there. It'll be limited possessions. Yeah. So everyone will be super important. Yeah.
Okay. That's what I got. I got 100 more, but those are the two.
You're leaning one way or the other?
I'm all over the place. I am. The longer we go talking about this, the more I'm a winding road here. I can absolutely sit here and easily build you a case for West Virginia walking out of that stadium a winner. I don't think this is something where you're just looking to cover the spread. My gut tells me this is going to be a game. One last number I'll give you.
Couldn't help yourself.
I can't help myself because it ties into this, because we can easily build our case for West Virginia here. I think that's reasonable to say that West Virginia could walk out of that stadium with a win. But you're facing a really talented, terrific Penn State team and Penn State program. James Franklin, this is not my number. This is from Ralph Michaels' Wager Talk. This is from Ralph Michaels' Wager Talk. I heard it when Chris Felica from Fox, who will be here tomorrow, brought this up. This is a startling number, and I'm not ending on a high note if you're West Virginia.
Wait a second. Hang on a second. Let me get it. All right, go ahead.
And this plays into last year's game when James Franklin, there was 6 seconds left, thought they needed that one last touchdown that may have affected some people's enjoyment of that game a little bit more. Change the spread. Change the over-under, too. Since 2000, James Franklin is a head coach when favored by 7 to 24 points. That window, 7 to 24, which we're sitting in that window now as we record. 7 to 24 points. Franklin's teams are 16-0-1 against the spread.
Oh,
You talk about a wow. Now, again, you can say, well, what's that have to do with this year's team? Has absolutely nothing to do, right? But that tells you a couple things. Part leads into the mindset of why he wanted to cover that game last year. You will not convince me that he didn't know the score of the game, doesn't know the spread. That matters. That number's been out there all week. But that's if you're West Virginia. That's where you gotta take note.
I'll give you two numbers.
Excuse me?
Well, one comes from Christian Miller.
Well, let people know who Christian is. I mean, you just can't say Christian Miller.
Christian Miller is the manager of our stations in Morgantown, big Mountaineer fan. And he said Neal Brown is 0-9 in season openers against FBS opponents. He's beaten a couple of FCS schools and openers, but has then followed up with losses to the first FBS opponent of the year. So this goes back to Troy. So 0-9 against FBS opponents in season openers or when they've played their first FBS teams. So at West Virginia, that's losses to Missouri, Oak State, Maryland, Pitt, and Penn State. Now, on the other side, Penn State has, under James Franklin, has had a couple season opening losses. 2015, Temple. The Raging Owls beat them 27-10 in 2015. In 2020, Brad, Indiana beat Penn State in a season opener, 36-35 in overtime. What does that mean? Like Brad likes to say, I don't know, nothing. Just a stat to keep in mind.
Yeah. Neal's had some victories, too, when he was at Troy during the day.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
a little Nebraska in there. He got a little
he made his name.
LSU in there.
In beating teams that he wasn't supposed to beat.
Yeah.
I don't know. Let's play. See what happens.
Play the game.
So Christian,
Go
this
get
is the same. This is the same Christian Miller. He. If there was a fourth guy on four guys before the game, he would want to be the fourth guy.
No question.
Yeah.
We've invited him on our pregame show. No, I have to get to the game and make a difference, which is good. I mean, he's a super fan.
Yeah, he
He's a
is.
super fan.
Yeah, he is. Hey, just
I'm not sure he could work the hours we work, though.
sales guys.
Yeah, he wouldn't be able to handle that. He wouldn't be able to handle that.
Well, first, when you'd have to explain them Saturday and Sunday, that
Or work days.
salespeople go, "Excuse me, Saturday, Sunday. Are those the day? What? I don't understand what those days are."
I can't say anything. I'm off every other week.
Yeah.
Work every other week.
Guess what?
What?
Weekends just got better with Gomart's Triple Point Saturday. You following me now?
Triple point.
Every Saturday, which would include tomorrow and game Saturday, every Saturday this fall, Gomart reward members will earn triple points on every purchase. So stock up on your favorite game day snacks and drinks, rack up those points, then use those points to save on gas and other stuff. Become a registered Gomart Rewards member to start earning points. Visit the Gomart app or gomart.com to learn more. Three Guys is also brought to us by the super fine folks at Comax Business Systems. Any kind of office equipment, you name it, they got it. From the simple stuff like printers and things like that. I got a Comax printer.
Do you?
Brad's got a Comax printer. Hoppy's got a blackboard at home with a big eraser. Digital phone services are what Comax does as well, from 1 line to 1,000 lines, all ready to go, digital, and the abilities and the services now that business phone systems can provide are absolutely like, whoa, it's gone a long way. We've gone a long way since, excuse me, I'm going to put you on hold and then go get a pink slip. Brad's not in the office right now, but I'll leave this for him when he gets back in.
I have an Okidata printer.
You can get communication at a high level. Comax Business Systems, visit them, comaxwv.com. As far as those phone systems go, rent it, buy it, lease it, whatever you want to do. They can work with you competitively priced, comaxwv.com. We've had a lot of fun over the last couple of nights. Really have. It's been a challenge because we've been bouncing all over different places, but we have opened up food court on University Avenue next to Daniel's Men's Store. And we've had a heck of a time meeting, greeting, chatting with Three Guys fans. Three Guys Before the Game Textual Healing is brought to us by episode800.com. You can get our merch, shirts, golf shirts, polo, tuxedos, coffee, and kind of stuff. Visit episode800.com. All right, so let's jump in. We start off with this picture. Receive this one. Good morning, great morning. There it is.
Oh my!
You are looking at the barbecue trailer and the food court at night while it slept. If we were going to tape this in the dark, you're looking live at the. So anyway, yeah, there it is. Congratulations to Parkersburg Brewing Company, says Kathy in Washington, West Virginia. Favorite spot for me and my husband. And Three Guys for bringing a new beer to the market. I'll finally have access to a Three Guys beer. Also, hats off. Travis Jones, remember he delivered the beer to us on our last episode?
Yeah.
My 3 kids are all Parkersburg Catholic alums. And my high school chemistry teacher is in Hoppy's home place, Jefferson County. Their daughter now teaches there in Jefferson County.
Yeah,
Lots of connections.
Always a connection.
Yeah. Hoppy got kicked out of chemistry at Jefferson High
I did
School.
very, very poorly
When
in
he
chemistry.
put a couple of beakers together that weren't supposed to go together.
It was bad.
All of a sudden, there was a strong, strong smell. And they had to ask Hoppy to leave.
Yeah.
Jeremy from Cooperstown, New York. It's that time of the year again, boys. I'm sitting in the Detroit airport waiting on my connection to Pittsburgh. I'm picking up my brother in South Point this evening who flew in from Houston, and we're driving to Clarksburg to meet our sister who flew in from Arizona to have dinner with our dad, aunt, and cousin. Tomorrow, my brother and I are going to play Pikewood National.
Oh, my.
Hey.
With more cousins. One flew in from Clearwater, another drives from Charleston. We will all be in the Blue Lot by 9 a.m. Saturday. Win or lose, I love how the Mountaineers brings us home in the fall. Let's go. Oh, and I do like us to win this thing 27-20 outright. Good guys. And Garrett goes off to announce his presence with authority.
That's pretty wild. So coming from Detroit, Houston, Arizona, got all of Big 12 country covered there. Detroit in the Big 12? Michigan in the Big 12 yet? No? Is that the only one?
Central Michigan.
Wait a second. He failed to put in his no relatives in Spokane. We need a Spokane relative, and they hit the league.
Wait till Gonzaga gets in.
Charlie from Midlothian writes in, Hoppy referenced Matt Moeller's football career Tuesday. Did Matt start at Lehigh and end at Lafayette, or did Hoppy misspeak?
Oh, did I?
Yeah, you did say both of those.
Did I?
Yeah. Do you remember which one it was? Lehigh or Lafayette?
Lehigh. The Engineers?
Yeah.
Lehigh.
They were then. Now they had to change because they offended them, right? They changed, didn't they? Didn't someone change? They were the Engineers.
They offended the Engineers?
Look that up. Lehigh's not the Engineers anymore.
Lehigh. It was Lehigh. I'm sorry. Sorry, Matt. Jeez. My bad. My bad.
This guy wanted to know, Charlie also wanted to know if you were up at Michael's to buy thread to monogram your hankies. Apparently not. Texter, Efferding, fellas. Great beer. Cheers to a great weekend and a West Virginia win against the Invaders. There's Kyle in Morgantown. You ever met him?
Yeah, we know Kyle well.
Kyle's a good dude. There he is. He got a snoot full.
Great dude. Look at that Three Guys Cup, too.
Yeah. Yeah, they're out there. Eric in Cheat Lake
Thank you, Kyle.
writes, delicious. The can's taken
That
over.
is a sweet can, right? Look, that's a nice, good job on the picture right there.
Davey writes in, I brought the entire town of Jumping Branch with me. It was great to see old Hoppy being such a social butterfly. The Connection 304 beer is fantastic and very drinkable. Now let's go beat Penn State. Yeah, that was late at the night. And there he is with Hoppy earlier in the evening. Yeah, looking good.
I had a great time.
And
talked to everybody there.
There's Steve and Davey. They're brothers. They're celebrating their six-pack that they were able to commandeer.
And they have his brother's married to a young lady from Jumping Branch.
Yes, correct. I met her parents.
Did you? Yeah, the Jumping Branch was well represented.
Yeah. I banged them too. I overwhelmed them with information. Like they got Jumping Branch. I said, Summers County used to be Hinton. Lady Bobcats won about 2,000 games in a row. Blew them away.
They used to be the Engineers at Lehigh, but there was a student-based movement to come up with a quote-unquote suitable mascot.
Thank you.
Now they're the Mountain Hawks.
That works well.
I mean, what Engineers not?
Nah, you don't want to offend them. Great episode 3, guys. Good luck with the beer. I was in West Virginia for my high school reunion. I stopped off to see Fine Look and Phil and picked up a few of the Peter Millar shirts. As I flew back to Texas, I wore one of them halfway between Austin and my hometown in Horseshoe Bay. I decided I needed a snack. So I pulled into a local eatery in Bee Cave, Texas. Yes, it has bees that live in caves, and I'm walking out. I hear, hey, you don't see many flying WVs in these parts. Turns out the guy was from Maryland, graduated from West Virginia a few years before me. Always a West Virginia connection.
Fine Looking Phil was there last night. He stopped by.
Yeah.
And he beat everyone in a dress-off, didn't he?
Yeah, he was best dressed.
He was best-dressed guy out there because before he goes home, he's still dressed for work, dressed for success. Again, if you're going to head over to the food court, strongly encourage you to walk in. Don't try to park. It's just... it ain't worth it. Texter says, I'll be back this weekend to hopefully watch another win over Penn State. We don't have many, but I was there in 84 and again in 88. Great year to be a WVU student.
Hey, real quick, Austin, can you put up that picture I sent you this morning? Speaking of 84, if you want a little omen, shout out to Sam Bossio here in Morgantown.
He saved the class.
Sam gets a lot of criticism for maybe holding on to items too long.
Wow.
Look what he pulled out here. A cup from 84. It's got the Dominion Post headlines and article on the cup from when West Virginia won that game back in 84. Just discovered it here in the last 24 to 48 hours.
He unearthed
so it
that.
Reappeared, unearthed it. Right.
Where
as
was
Penn
it? Was it in
State
like the cabinet? And Pam was saying, why is that still in the cabinet?
Well, I don't necessarily know that, but it's credit to Sam, who
Oh,
takes
yeah.
a lot of grief.
Takes a lot of grief.
Brings it out, might be a potential omen as you head into the weekend.
Yeah. Anything. Just latch on to anything. You can.
It's kind of wild.
It is.
Ben in Roanoke writes in, I'm looking forward to Saturday, what will be an incredible atmosphere. I get the privilege of taking my buddy from Norway to his first ever American sporting event. We debate all the time on which football is superior, and I'm efforting to win him over. I believe he will fall in love with Mountaineer Nation, which will be awesome because we both live in Hokie country. I believe that we will get to sing Country Roads and add a member to the Mountaineer family. Let's go Mountaineers. So bringing someone in from Norway for the game. Have fun. Hey, three guys, it's Ollie in Clarksburg. Always love listening when I'm on the road, whenever I have time. You guys know I'm a big basketball guy, but Mountaineer football is my first love. I've watched great Mountaineer teams over the years, but I believe this team can do it. Great things are in their spot in the Big 12. All aboard the Garrett Green Heisman campaign.
Thank you, Ollie.
Our next texter, Randy from State College.
Uh-oh.
We're coming in on Friday just so I can gorge myself on Rev Kev's barbecue again. His food is amazing. I was also excited for the new beer until Brad talked about it on the last episode. He spent most of his time talking about the can design and not the beer. Feels like I'm being set up for a blind date and everyone is talking about her personality. Either way, I'm all in.
I tell you, everybody I talk to, everybody.
All right, hold on. Now, Randy, check back with us then. Check back with us.
What do you mean?
Oh, Randy out there taking a shot, saying we didn't talk about the actual beer. Go have the beer and then get back to us. See if he likes it.
I asked everybody last night, and maybe because, what are they going to say? Like, it sucks. I mean, but everybody said they really liked it and enjoyed it and gave their own description of the beer. And Jim was there from Parkersburg Brewing, and it was just good. I mean,
it's the sense I got Wednesday when I was over there. Now, again, those polls we did live, they're certainly not scientific.
What are they?
Anecdotal.
I had 1 1/3 beers.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't drive.
Mm-hmm.
Made Chuck drive.
Tasty?
I think it's fantastic. I really
awesome,
do.
Dude. Good.
I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, you're a big fan.
Huge fan.
Yeah.
We're happy with that. Hoppy's happy. Texter, I don't recall anyone confirming your number of episodes completed, but I do recall Hoppy poking fun at it again on the last episode. According to Apple Podcasts, there it is. Your channel has 572 episodes as of 28 August. Yeah, but there's a couple in there that really don't constitute episodes. Like I think the Mike Gansey special that we did that wasn't an interview with Mike, but was that kind of an audio documentary. I think that got...
Pick a number. Let's just pick a number, and that's then the number.
He says, I'm also efforting to get your... you get a koozie. These guys want that koozie. Yeah, there you go. Hello, three guys. John from Alabama.
Well done.
Hey, Tony, no pressure here as you're the best at setting the scene, but I think WVU Nation might have to set a game day tradition of drinking an ice-cold Connection 304 while listening to your scene setter. What do you say? Side note, given the opposing fans this Saturday, Sweet Caroline could be the loudest ever. Can't wait. Love the show. Let's go Mountaineers. Andy in Burlington. Doesn't say if that's Virginia or West Virginia because there is a Burlington, West Virginia, and Mineral
Vermont.
County.
And there Burlington, Vermont.
What did I say?
Burlington, North Carolina.
Big in the Northeast.
Burlington. Could be the Burlington Coat Factory.
Burlington, North Dakota.
Hey, fellers.
New Mexico.
I know I'm late getting this up, but hopefully not too late. Going back a couple of episodes, Tony's talking about Romney peaches. Dang diddles, are they good? Impossible to eat one without a paper towel or a handkerchief. Anyway, Tony had gotten a peck. Everyone was wondering what a peck is. A peck is a quarter bushel, 12 to 14 pounds. A bushel is around 48 to 52 pounds. There's some educational content for the show. I absolutely love you guys. Makes my day when I see a new episode pop up. Andy from Burlington.
Burlington's in Mineral County.
Yeah, I know that. I've been there.
Oh, you have?
Yes.
When were you there?
There is the Burlington
Old-fashioned Apple Festival?
Nope. There's a kids home there.
Oh. Let me check.
There's a kids home there, and we did a video there.
Received word yesterday we got a delivery of peaches.
What?
Arrived in.
We had a situation there. So I went to go get them because they were deposited over at Daniel's.
Here we go.
Peaches. Listener dropped off some peaches for us.
Nice.
And then by the time I got back over to the food court, where they were put was locked up, so I couldn't get them. So
I thought you were going to say you ate them all, so
No,
that's an acceptable
no.
excuse on your part.
All right, we'll work on that. They're there. Thank you for.
They're there. Yeah, whomever. Do we know who it is?
I don't. There's a note inside with the peaches that we were going to read on the show.
Kudos to the team for an amazing marketing and products. My son-in-law and I intend to partake in the Baylor game. If Tony's around, I'm going to give him some of the good, pungent Italian provolone, which I doubt he gets in Morgantown. Great shows always are ready for great seats. Rich in Satellite Beach, Florida. There's nothing better than super strong provolone. Sitting at an airport, Frankie writes in Charlotte, heading home for Penn State, West Virginia. Guy sitting next to me apologizes for talking so loud on the phone. I said, no worries. We both found out we're heading to Pittsburgh for the game, to WVU's game. We were disappointed we couldn't snag a 304 connection or Kirchville at the bar. Come on, guys, let the effort in be harder. Get our beers nationwide. Hop, get on there.
Efforting, Frankie. Just got rolling.
The 304 rollout is, it takes a little while.
Yeah, it does.
It takes a little while, but it'll be out there.
It will be at the Go-Mart in Flatwoods. It is right now.
Yeah.
How long it lasts? Yes.
You saw it last night, Brad?
Well, I did not see. I didn't see it last night at 1:22 a.m. when I was there, but we did get a text with a picture this morning. They saw it in the store
at Flatwoods.
Flatwoods Go-Mart.
Which
so if you're headed up,
it's
world headquarters.
Yeah, world
epicenter.
Headquarters. So yeah.
Again, it's just coming out now. They're making more. There literally is new batch in development right now. It's fermenting. So get it while you can, but we'll be back with it. Don't worry. This is not gonna be a short run. We're running this bad boy.
And
from Weirton to Welch, Martinsburg to Matewan, and all points in between.
Here's one of the great things about Connection 304. Like you have beers or have a drink in celebration, usually an event, and you're with friends. And, Brad, like if you're at our event here at the food court where you meet people and you make the connection because West Virginia, there's always a connection. So I think it's a conversation starter. It just fits with everything that we do as West Virginians.
Great point.
Yeah. You talk to the Jumping Branch people about Jumping Branch, right? That kind of stuff.
They say, what they say, it's Jumping Branch, you say, where is it? And they say, it's 45 minutes from. It's always like 45 minutes from someplace.
Yeah.
Well, that last text from Frankie was to your point. Two guys didn't know each other, sitting by on a plane. They're coming back to West Virginia. They just made
the connection.
Always a connection.
Yeah.
Hey, guys, after listening to the last episode, intrigued by the question about what's more likely, a national championship or a president from West Virginia, Hoppy announced his candidacy. However, with him not being born in West Virginia, would he still be eligible to run as a true West Virginian?
Fair point. Hey, speaking of West Virginia, so I'm at the Business Summit, and I interviewed the head of the Federal Reserve in Richmond, who was there.
Wow.
But his PR guy set it up. So I'm talking to him, and he said, well, I'm in Pittsburgh, and I live in Richmond. He said, but all of my grandparents are from West Virginia. I said, of course they are. Why wouldn't they be?
Yeah. Hey, guys, this is Greg from Monongalia County. My wife and I just got back from Rev Kev's food truck. That was the best brisket we've ever had. We went back and bought 2 more pounds for Saturday to snack on while we listened to the world champ Mountaineers beat Penn State. Oops. Had to grab my handkerchief to clean up a little sauce.
Another handkerchief guy.
Yeah.
Virtual.
Doug in Sutton writes, for what it's worth, which unfortunately for you is $0, Three Guys is currently the only podcast I would pay money to listen to. Signed by Doug in Sutton. Yeah.
Homeless Dave was there last night working hard.
It's unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Truly unbelievable.
Yeah.
Professor Vinny writes, I just realized that you guys rarely, if ever, curse during the podcast. And I'm talking about the granddaddy of curse words, the mighty F word. Is this done on purpose? Do you want to keep it family friendly? Are you not allowed like it's an FCC regulation? I actually have an F word policy in my classes that I teach where in myself and my students are allowed 1 per class. The F words don't transfer either, meaning you can't wait to the end of the semester and unleash a torrent of F-bombs. Students seem to like the freedom, and I don't mind peppering in there on occasion. It does grab the students' attention, but if I don't want to overuse it, you guys should have a similar policy.
Tony, I've been known off air sometimes to talk like a sailor. I've tried to tone that down, frankly. But when I think we all consider ourselves broadcasters, and we weren't brought up that way, And I've never been, when I do my show or this podcast, I rarely inject a curse word. I just don't think it's necessary.
Yeah.
Darn it.
Well, I have never sworn. So
Well,
I don't feel comfortable doing it in front of a microphone.
What were we taught about microphones?
Yeah, it's always on. And I just don't feel comfortable doing it. It just based on what I do. I just can't do that.
You know, my favorite curse is Jeff Jenkins's. And by that, I mean, and I'm going to define this, because Jeff Jenkins is a wonderful man, devout Christian. And when I get really frustrated, I give him a Jeff Jenkins. My goodness. Which I feel so good when I say it. You know, I feel like I haven't cursed, but I still have expressed some level of frustration.
Yeah.
My goodness.
Yeah, we just don't. No, we don't. On here. 3 guys, while I'm still waiting on a proper review of how game day grind went over in Chapel Hill, it sounds as though the trip went well. Another note, I'm curious about a tradition from the past. I was talking with one of my young coworkers who mentioned they had just watched the '88 Penn State game for the first time in its entirety. He brought up the balloon release that happened in the pregame.
Ooh.
Surely one of you gentlemen know when or why this tradition ended.
Brad, statute of limitations has passed.
Next.
I can talk about that.
Okay.
Because, I mean, Joan was working in the athletics department back then. So, yeah,
not when it ended.
Yeah, that balloon launch was fantastic. It was absolutely fantastic. For those that don't know, you would buy balloons on your way in, helium filled. You'd make a small donation. Where'd the money go, Brad? Cancer? Hospital?
Can't remember. Hospital, I think.
Hospital. And then everyone would hold the balloon. And then at a specific designated time in pregame, like, everyone let go. And these balloons, it was a spectacular sight. Now, Brad, you can correct me, but I understand the balloons headed east, and there was some involvement with animals like ducks or fowl that would eat the balloons and the rubber, and had a bit of a situation. True?
Maybe around it. Maybe right around it.
So who called you? Like the Audubon Society, or who got involved in this?
I don't remember. Long time ago.
I forgot that until he mentioned that was an awesome sight.
Got in Wales.
One of many reasons I'm sitting over here now.
Got in the trunk of an elephant. What's that coming out of the elephant's trunk? Just a balloon from the Mountaineer game. Anyway.
A lot of walkie-talkie action to see where the helium was and if the helium had arrived. The day it was.
Need the helium. Over.
Anybody got eyes on the helium tanks? Need to. Got to.
Greg in Stewart, Virginia. Since football's here, what football movies are your guys' favorites, if any? Rudy. I mean, Rudy's all-time classic. Rudy's all-time classic.
All the Right Moves, I think, is mine.
Yeah.
West Virginia reference on that one.
Yeah.
What probably the movie, maybe the Ernie Davis movie.
Really, you like that?
Yeah, I like that. I know West Virginia
was not
was
depicted well.
disrespected.
Yeah.
Was it inaccurately depicted?
Correct.
But I don't know. I'm not sure there have been great football movies, have they?
Well,
yeah. Remember the Titans was good.
Remember the Titans was fantastic. I'd put that right up there too.
You didn't like All the Right Moves? Old school Tom Cruise?
I don't think I saw it.
Oh. You haven't seen All the Right Moves, as many movies as you've watched?
I don't think so.
Stunned.
There are better baseball movies than there are football movies.
Well, sure.
Yeah.
Pull up All the Right Moves on your next vacation.
Okay.
Okie from Jumping Branch.
Big in Jumping Branch.
I want to thank you for your 40 years of effort at West Virginia. My dad used to wonder what was going through your mind when you were getting ready to take over for the legend, Jack Fleming. Well, you did it well. Thank you for all the sights and sounds of West Virginia sports. I still today turn the TV play-by-play down and listen to you. Also, Hoppy, thank you for 50 years of efforting. I once tried to earn life experience college credits because I told the board I'd listen to you every day. I lost that vote 6 votes to 4.
Good
Brad,
pitch.
you're awesome too. Thanks to 3 guys for my life, keeping my life exciting. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Okie.
Appreciate that. 3 guys, despite the outcome on Saturday, it's refreshing to see all the excitement this preseason. I truly think Neil has the program moving in the right direction as players give back to the community, some without even playing a snap for us yet. Garnett Hollis fundraiser. We have so many West Virginia high school players on the roster making an impact. Neil ensures all those guys understand what it means to play with the logo on their helmet. I think that gives West Virginia an edge. Historically, having players from his state gives the other players on the team perspective on how much it means to everyone. My only hope is we continue the upward trajectory and finally silence the fans who have sucked the life out of enjoying the game. Made it out to the food court Wednesday night, grabbed a couple of BBQ boxes, a draft, and a six-pack of Connection 304. Glad I did. The guys from Parkersburg were starting to sweat on the supply and demand. All due respect to my usual Coors Light. I know what I'm taking to the tailgate Saturday morning. Phenomenal beer and food. Thank you, Dean from Parsons, now in Fairmont. And there's the efforting sign.
Thank you, Dean. Thank you, Dean.
Saw some efforting shirts last night.
Yeah, they're out there. Brent from Accident, Maryland. Are you guys efforting to record a Three Guys episode from the food court this season?
I would love to do that. I'm just afraid noise would make it an unenjoyable listening experience. Not just the folks on the food court, but University Avenue, busy right there. It'd be a blast to do that.
It would be. It would.
Yeah, I don't know how we would do it because we open 4 o'clock on Friday.
Yeah.
And, right, I think this, if we were to ever do it, it would have to be after. I don't think you record it. I think you just do it for the people there. And I think you do it like 7:30, 8 o'clock, and you just open up mics and you riff.
That would be good.
Aren't we doing this live?
I thought it was live. We could do it. We could do it. And I'm not going to do a Tony, Brad, and say we're doing it next Friday. But everybody's kind of busy, and it sort of adds one more thing, and it's just like.
Now, if there may be an honorarium involved, I think we might be able to make it over.
Plus, we're there. I mean, we're not all there all the time with different schedules, but we have good one-on-ones with people.
That's true. Good point.
Texter, Three Guys, tailgate review from day one. First of all, Dave is not homeless, and he's an incredible guy. He's the secret ingredient that no one can replicate in the family recipe. He makes this tailgate awesome. A little rain didn't prevent the brisket, pulled pork, mac and cheese to sell out to rave reviews. The chicken was a great consolation. I love supporting Rev Kev's The Source. Samuel James played an incredible music set, and I laughed when he sipped a Connection 304 Connection between songs and enthusiastically stated, "This beer is nice."
He was good the other night.
A great time was had with old and new friends. Miraculously, a six-pack of beautiful beer cans are now plotting a Saturday upset in my refrigerator.
I don't know if H. Wayne knows how accurate that first sentence is.
Yeah,
Dave. He's a secret ingredient no one can replicate. Yeah. None of this would be getting done.
No, he's absolutely the.
Yeah, there'd be nothing. We would have nothing.
We have no. I mean, we wouldn't. I mean, all the things you talk about, Tony, and throw out there. I mean, Dave.
Don't pin it on me.
No, I'm absolutely pinning it on you.
You're right.
Hey, Austin, let's roll through some of those pictures that Dave sent to us, if we could. Here's just some shots for those of you. That is a little bit of a wetness. That was from, I'm assuming that's day one, right? We didn't have rain last night. So that was day one. That was going on there. And then there is Kercheval, front and center. We got a ball cap on. Chat. I met those guys, too. Those guys, yeah, those were good dudes.
Yeah.
There's Saab again.
Saab hasn't been around in 72 episodes. Now all of a sudden he's everywhere again.
Owns the show. Owns the show. Some nice folks there. Got Three Guys old school shirt, right?
They do.
Yeah. Met them.
I was one of the kids. They've been doing an event.
And
I was from one of the events.
So there you go.
I had the meatballs last night. They were good.
They're good. From
They
the
were good.
from the
Duke,
wine bar.
yeah.
From the wine bar.
Duca.
Yeah, so there we all go. And thank you very much. Posted on Big 12 Facebook, Week 1 schedule. All times are Eastern. Look at that.
Where was that? On what?
Excuse
I don't
me?
know. I don't
what
know.
platform?
I don't know who put it up, but all the times are Eastern
Oh,
on that.
are you
which
sure?
Is,
Let me check
which
on
is
that.
kind of
That's
nice.
how you do that.
Yeah, that's kind of nice.
That's how you do that.
All right. Guys, we've beat this frickin' donkey to death. Let's do this
Let's
thing.
play.
Do another
Let's
one tomorrow
play.
morning at 6. Previewing the game.
I will tell you this. We will be in studio Sunday morning, and we will release.
Live.
Yeah, we will release before noon on Sunday. It will be available to you.
Ish.
Around noon.
Yeah. Ish.
Yeah, around noon, somewhere in that range. If you are coming in, be safe. Again, strongly, man, just walk. Park far away and
Traffic's going to be
Uber in. The traffic's
nightmare.
stupid. Traffic's
With that
stupid.
a noon kick with a sellout game, Brad, I mean,
Yeah.
Have fun. Be responsible.
Yeah.
Make a difference if you're here.
And if you come across any Penn State fans treat them the way that you would like to be treated
Absolutely.
if you were at their place.
Absolutely.
Just be cool, be chill, have fun.
Act like
be
you've
good.
been there. Act like you've been there before.
Yeah, exactly. All right, thanks to producer Austin. For the boys, back at you. Episode something, something, or something. 3 guys before the game. Over and out. See y'all.